allegedly targeting NFL headquarters. Law enforcement now swarming his home in Las Vegas after he killed at least 4 people.
How'd you guys come through?
We definitely had to stay disciplined.
Not only is there the video of his past life as a football player, we're hearing from people who know him as they come to grips with the reality that he is a killer. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. We're getting a clearer picture today of the man police say opened fire in a Midtown Manhattan high-rise because he claims he suffered from mental illness. That suspect is Shane Tamura. He was 27 years old. Yesterday, he was seen in this surveillance image posted by several media outlets on X, walking into a prevalent high-rise armed with an assault rifle right around the time so many people would be in the lobby ready to go home for the day. This picture is just chilling. You just look at how lackadaisical he is. He has sunglasses on. He has that rifle by his side as he's just steps away from causing so much terror, so much pain, and so much trauma inside. Before I get to what people who know Shane Tamura are saying about the reality of what played out in Manhattan yesterday, let's break down the facts as we know them at this point. It was just before 6:30 yesterday evening that Tamura stepped out of a double-parked BMW armed with an M4 rifle and walked into 345 Park Avenue. Here's what New York's police commissioner says happened next.
That individual was seen exiting the BMW alone. The building's security camera footage shows the shooter enter the lobby, turn right, and immediately open fire on an NYPD officer. He then shoots a woman who took cover behind a pillar and proceeds through the lobby, spraying it with gunfire.
The commissioner says that the shooter then made his way to the 33rd floor of the building, and once there, he walked through the office, firing rounds. Tamura killed 1 person on that floor. In total, he would kill 4 people. At the time of this recording, there was a 5th person who was in the hospital in critical but stable condition. Tamura took his own life on the 33rd floor. Here's an image of the steps people took to protect themselves. This is in an office where people used furniture to block a door just in case a shooter came to them. Mayor Eric Adams said that this building also had some safety measures like bulletproof bathroom doors that some people were able to use. Now, this is video that was posted to X of authorities searching Tamura's car outside 345 Park. Police say that he drove cross country from Las Vegas. That's where he lived. The car was registered to him out of Nevada. Inside the BMW, officers found a rifle case with rounds, a loaded revolver with ammunition and magazines, a backpack, and medication that was prescribed to Shane Tamura. Now, here are images of Tamura's home in Las Vegas. It is a gated community. Local media is reporting that he lived with his parents. Vegas police were at his home through the night investigating. Now, this is a picture that I found posted by one of Tamura's relatives on Facebook, and you can see Tamura here. This was in the fall of last year this picture was posted. It seems that he has a name tag on. It might have been at some kind of family reunion. NYPD officers tracked his travel to New York from Vegas. They say he drove through Colorado on Saturday, then entered New York City just a couple of hours before the shooting. Police in Las Vegas say that Tamura had a history of mental health issues.
I want to be very clear. We believe this to be a lone shooter, and there is no longer an active threat to the public.
At the news conference last night, the police commissioner did not have a motive, but today we are learning more about why he did this. Here's what New York City Mayor Eric Adams told Fox 5 in New York this morning about a note that the shooter left behind.
He alluded to having CTE from playing in the NFL. He never played in the NFL. And he alluded to the CTE being the reason for his illness. It appears as though he was going after the employees at the NFL. The building 345 housed the NFL's company there as well.
CTE, and if you follow football, you probably know it, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It's a brain disease likely caused by repeated concussions, according to the Mayo Clinic. Now, there have been concerns about football players suffering from CTE over the years, but Even with more people knowing about CTE, even the Mayo Clinic says there still is so much we don't know about the disease and what causes it. I put Shane Tamura's name into truthfinder.com. The address that police in Las Vegas are continuing to search came up tied to Tamura. Also, I didn't see anything on there as far as any previous criminal record. At Law and Crime, we partner at Truthfinder, and we use it to get details on the people who are involved in our stories like this one. But even if you don't work in true crime, this can be an excellent resource to give you some peace of mind. And it's one of the largest public records search services in the United States. And with the paid subscription service, you get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And right now, you can get 50% off your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/OTC. The New York Post reports that note the mayor was talking about said in part, quote, "Please study the brain for CTE. I'm sorry, the league knowingly concealed the dangers to our brains to maximize profits. They failed us." End quote. Again, Shane Tamura never played in the NFL. The NFL's address lists its corporate offices to be on the 5th floor of the building. The mayor said that Tamura went up to the 33rd floor because he went to the wrong elevator bank in the building, not the one that would actually get him to the NFL's offices. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said that one of the league's employees was seriously injured in the attack, but is now in stable condition. We are still working to learn more about Shane Tamura's background, but we do know that he played high school football.
How'd you guys come through? We definitely had to stay disciplined. We were down 10-0. We definitely had to stay disciplined. Our coach kept saying, "Don't hold your heads down, don't hold your heads down." We just had to stay disciplined and come together as a team.
This is a video that was posted to YouTube by Daily News Prep Sports 9 years ago. It has since gone viral because it shows Tamura after a game while he was playing high school football in the Los Angeles area. Now, it doesn't appear that he went on to even play college football. And again, he never played in the NFL, even though Mayor Adams says in that note, he claims to have contracted CTE by playing pro ball. Now, this image is also going viral on social media of a concealed firearms permit. We're learning that Tamura had a permit to carry a concealed firearm by the Las Vegas Police Department. ABC News is also reporting he had a now expired work card by the Nevada Private Investigators Licensing Board. Why was this man, who had, according to police, such serious mental health issues, allowed to get that concealed carried permit? And was that high-powered firearm that he carried into the building registered to him? Those are questions that we are all trying to figure out right now. As far as those who knew Shane Tamura, his former high school football coach spoke to NBC News. Walter Roby said that Tamura was a great football player who, quote, came in, worked hard, kept his nose down. He was a quiet kid, well-mannered, very coachable. Whatever needed to be done, he would do. His former classmate told NBC, quote, "You never would have thought violence was something you'd associate with him. Everything was a joke." Something clearly happened in his life over the last decade. But what's clear is that he took the lives of people who should still be here today. And that includes an NYPD officer.
Today, 4 innocent victims are dead. Among them is NYPD police officer Didarul Islam, 36 years old, 4 years on the job. Officer Islam was married with 2 young boys. His wife is pregnant with their 3rd child. He's assigned to the 4-7 precinct in the Bronx. He was doing the job that we asked him to do. He put himself in harm's way. He made the ultimate sacrifice, shot in cold blood, wearing a uniform that stood for the promise that he made to this city.
Joining us now is retired NYPD detective Tom Smith, who's also the co-host of the Gold Shields podcast. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. I know a lot of heavy hearts with those connected to the New York Police Department today. At this point in the investigation, it's not even 24 hours after this happened. Where is your mind in some of the main questions that you'd like to see answered?
Yeah, I mean, me as an investigator and a detective is going into the full background of this individual and just see where this started, what sparked it, what was the prelude to it, the planning stages, all of that. Because listen, as much as we are pretty sure he's alone, we want to make sure of that. We want to make sure there's no outlining factors in this or anyone else who might have known about it tried to stop him, had a communication with him, anything like that. All of that has to be vetted out. And that's the reason for the search warrants being conducted out in Las Vegas, because you want to get all the pertinent information about him, his digital, his computers, anything he owns, to make sure, A, no one else is involved, B, how did this and why this started.
Yeah, and to your point, it doesn't seem like we've learned a lot yet about a digital footprint that he might have had. We're learning a little bit that he lived in LA, played high school football out there. There's this note that was reportedly left behind, and according to Eric Adams, he was targeting NFL headquarters, which is in that building. He may have just gone to the wrong floor. When I think for many people, you might look at that and say, there's the motive. That's why he was going for it. As an investigator, how do you find the motive to officially reach that point?
Yeah, you just keep digging. You go on that lead and you just expand on that, and you go into other avenues or interviews of family members, friends, anyone he might have worked with, and see what the conversations were with him. Did he ever mention CTE before? Former coaches, anyone who had to do with him where this might have been a factor. But let's get something straight, Chris. There's one thing to be, ill or have a problem. It's something else to premeditated think about and plan driving across the country with an M4, targeting a building, and then going in, and before you kill yourself, which was the plan, in shooting himself in the chest, you take out everyone in front of you. So yeah, there's an issue with the CTE story, but let's be real about, there's other ways that this could have been done instead of taking out a police officer, 5 other people, and another officer that shot fighting for his life.
Yeah, and he shot also the female victim in the lobby was hiding. Police said behind this was not someone caught in the crossfire of something else. And I'm happy you brought up that point about driving across the country, because I know the commissioner had said that they knew that he was in Colorado on Saturday, that he had left his home. He was in New Jersey around 4:30 in the afternoon, and then the shots were fired in New York around 6:30. How do you separate? Because there is this CTE part of it, and I get it. But this does, to your point, that looks like intent over the course of several days, not to mention the fact that there was, at any point in time, he could have pulled over, stopped, and recognized that this was not a good idea.
Absolutely right. It takes a lot of evilness in your body to drive for 3 or 4 days and still have that rage in you to perpetuate this crime, and keeping to the game plan all that ride, by yourself. At some point, like you said, reality never set into him and he went, hold on a minute, what am I doing? He just kept going with the plan and he carried it out. And it's just a waste of human life in these poor people who are just working and just trying to make a living. And like you said, all the indications are he even went to the wrong floor. So those people weren't even the initial target of his rage and ended up losing their lives.
I saw one media outlet in Vegas. They believe that location out there where he lived, he was still living with his parents. He's 27 years old. He's not a kid. But what are some of the big questions that the parents are going to face? Because he was gone for several days and he lived at this home.
Absolutely. And that's what I said about interviews. You're going to interview the parents, friends, other family members. What were the conversations before he left? Did he mention anything? All of that is going to be, part of the investigation. And even though this is done, he's dead, the victims are gone, and other people are injured, the investigation's still going to go on because you need the answers to so many questions. And that's going to be one of them. Did the parents try calling him while he was en route here? What was that conversation like? So there's a lot that's going to be going on with this. And the parents could face a little heat if they knew about this, or the conversation was, I'm going to take care of this, or whatever it might have been, and them not notifying any authority figures. So that's what I mean by a continued investigation.
Yeah. And as far as heat, I mean, I think of, we often bring this up, sadly, in these types of cases. Ethan Crumbly out in Michigan, his parents ended up getting charged. Down here in Georgia, Winder, the shooting at Appalachian High School with Colin Gray and Colt Gray. The father's facing charges, even though he's 27 years old, he's a grown man. But if he's living at home, he's known to have mental health issues, and he was known to have firearms, and he just disappears. is that a crime if you, as a parent or someone who knew this person, didn't report anything to police?
Yeah, I mean, crime would have to really be looked into as far as the knowledge of what he was going to do. And that's going to be the compelling factor in it. Did they actually know what he was planning and where he was going? If not, that might be tough to single them out with those charges. But it still has to be answered, those questions of what was he like? What was going on in the home? Like you said, even though he's 27 years old, conversations still take place, and people have a responsibility if they have knowledge of a future crime to let the police know about it.
He had a concealed carry permit out of Las Vegas Metro Police, and everybody at this point has probably seen that image that's been circulating of that concealed carry permit in his wallet. What are some of the questions that will go into the investigation of figuring out how he, according to the commissioner of the New York Police Department, he had documented mental health issues and yet was still able to get these firearms?
Yeah, well, they're going to look into the application process and the, going after or acquiring a permit in Las Vegas. What are the parameters? What interviews have to be conducted with that? What background checks are done when you're applying for a pistol permit? One of those questions, I'm sure, is, have you had any mental health issues throughout your life? Because that's one of the questions here in New York. So if that's on there, it's going to be interesting to see what he checked off and if any other background investigation was done before he was issued that permit.
ABC News just came down with this at the time of the reporting. It was just a line in one of their stories that in June, someone had reported a tip after a gun show in Vegas because he had bought a large amount of ammunition. Hindsight can always be 20/20, but what is the process of when a tip comes in of figuring out whether or not someone is actually a risk when they make a purchase at a gun show or something seems out of the ordinary?
Yeah, sure. It's interviewing the person who made the call and the tip of why it was done, what took place, what were the conversations that kind of raised you to a suspicious level to call the police about one particular person. We say it all the time, Chris, see something, say something. So that's what was done. Something triggered this individual to make a phone call, but then it's going to be interesting to see what investigators did with that, what interviews were conducted, what background checks were conducted, so that may all come out as well as far as that goes. And, we're going to see what was done with that investigation and what came out of it.
And kind of just going back to the mental health part of it, because it's just, everybody's angry today seeing this story. And I just think we've talked about CTE. There are a lot of players who sadly have struggled with CTE. Dave Dorson was someone I remember. He played safety for the Bears. He ended up taking his own life. There's a lot of people who have had very sad endings to their lives with CTE, but they were not mass shooters. How, just from an investigative side of it, and you've dealt with people who have had serious mental health issues in their career, and I think you see a lot of people say it was the CTE that did it. Like, I can't remember someone who had CTE who committed a crime like this person did commit yesterday in New York.
No, absolutely. And in my mind, it has to be separated. It has to be two separate things. Yes, you can suffer, what CTE can do. Absolutely. And we've all seen it, like you said, with NFL players. The most notable, Junior Seau. Seau actually took his own life because he believed he had CTE. And like this individual did, shot himself in the chest. So his brain was intact that they could check it out. There's other ways to go about getting help and bringing awareness to this. And this was not it. So, like I said, you have to separate the two of them with a medical issue and then being a mass murderer.
Eric Adams also said, the mayor of New York, that NYPD teams were going to be sent to Las Vegas because there's a lot of work to be done at the house there, and you're trying to figure out exactly what this suspect's life was like and what led up to this. But at the same time, you have this very large crime scene at 345 Park Avenue. What more is there to be done in that building moving forward?
Any evidence that you might want to collect. And as far as the Las Vegas part goes, with detectives going out there, that's important because you want to make sure there's no connections to New York. If anyone else he talked to there, maybe he didn't Google the location. Maybe someone told him where that location was. So there's a lot of information that still has to be done. And I'm sure the video evidence, unfortunately, it's gruesome, but that has to be collected and analyzed as far as what he did and where he was in that building. Did he look lost? Was that floor the target area, or did he get off on the wrong floor, which is being reported? So there's still many questions that have to come out of this investigation. And one of them, I'm sure if it was me, the link to New York and why he came here.
345 Park Avenue, certainly it is home to a lot of major companies, including the NFL. For people who are watching who maybe they've never been to New York City, you obviously worked in the city as well, the area. What is this building like? Because we are only seeing it from pictures on the outside.
Yeah, it's a large building in that area. It's a very business area for sure. A lot of businesses, storefronts and all that, but it is one of the largest buildings in that area with a very large courthouse to go into. So there was a long walk from his car to the front door or the front entrance. But, like I said, it's a larger area, but at 6:30 at night, it's kind of quiet. A lot of people went home. A lot of people don't stay or live in that area. Like I said, it's more of a business area. So once the businesses are closed, the pedestrian traffic goes down a little bit. So that's why when you see the images of him, there's not a lot of people around.
As we said in the beginning, incredibly difficult day for the families who lost people, and for the NYPD losing one of their own. It's kind of a difficult question to ask, but you just always see those videos of the officers standing when a body comes out, like we saw yesterday with the officer who lost his life. He was father of two, had a third on the way. Just as a member of the police department, what is that day like? And those moments like when you learn that someone has lost their lives who is a member of the NYPD?
It hurts. You could be retired for X amount of years, and it still hurts when someone in your family, and that's what it is gunned down. And we lost a brother, and it will always hurt watching the